Hello everyone and welcome to our next MACS webinar. Today it's all about the introduction to Maximo as a maintenance management system. And with that I want to dive into the first slide. And when we talk about maintenance management, of course, we also talk about our assets. And our assets nowadays are becoming more and more connected. For example, with sensors, which are capturing data 24/7, which allows us to have a sort of real-time monitoring, and which also can lead, for example, in a predictive failure module. And so all things that we have now at the moment. And if I then want to ask the question, why should you use a maintenance management system? So on this slide, I've put together some points which we see organizations are having. For example, difficulty by tracking asset location and availability. It's not only about the assets, of course, it's also about the difficulty in scheduling appropriate skilled technicians for service and repair orders, or increasing environmental safety regulations, health regulations, and also reporting requirements. All points where we see organizations are struggling with more often. And then why IBM Maximo? Why use IBM Maximo to address those points? Well, for example, IBM Maximo allows you to track and manage asset deployment, specifications, conditions, calibration, costing, all in one single system. And also with the contracts module, you can manage vendor contracts with comprehensive contract management support. For example, for purchase, lease rental, warranty, blanket contracts, and also user-defined contracts. And when you see it also on the inventory side, that you can meet maintenance demand accurately, making the right parts available at the right location when needed. And if I then dive a little deeper into Maximo itself, then we can also see actually the Maximo product portfolio, which I want to start with the core solution. So on the left side, we can see the Maximo EAM core solution, which you can see also as an on-premise solution. And on the right side, we see our white label product, Max Enterprise Asset Management, powered by IBM Maximo, or as we like to call it, MEAM, which is a SaaS solution. And with that core, you have the possibility to add or to install that one with certain industry solutions. And of course, a lot of them here on the slide we know already. And here on the right side we have a slightly new one, Maximo for civil infrastructure. So constantly also IBM is developing those industry solutions further and further, and also coming up with new ones. And of course there also are add-on solutions, because if you want to add some certain functionality to IBM Maximo, like for example Maximo Scheduler, which allows you to graphically schedule and assign your labor with the proper amount of materials they need to the work they are assigned to. And also Maximo Anywhere, so the mobile solution which you can work online and offline with, which is pretty unique in its way of working, because we have more mobile solutions in Maximo, for example the work centers, but only Maximo Anywhere would allow you to work offline. And then the last part, integrations. So nowadays there is a out-of-the-box integration with IBM Control Desk. It's called IBM Control Desk for Maximo, which basically gives you both products, so IBM Maximo and IBM Control Desk, in one system. So as we know, IBM Control Desk is the ITSM solution of IBM, which is built on the base of IBM Maximo basically. And also on the right side here we can see, connected to the first slide I showed, those IoT driven solutions like Maximo Monitor and Maximo Health, to keep track of the health of your assets and monitor them 24/7 a day. And when we dive in a little more deeper, then we can see the IBM Maximo processes. So which processes is Maximo covering these days? And we can see here, of course, In the center, we can see here the asset, because it has an asset module where you have the possibility to do asset management in a very broad way, with meter readings, condition monitoring, having the possibility to build your failure hierarchy, your failure codes, to let the technician in the work module to let it to make it able for the technician to report those failures in a good way. But not only that, by work management, of course, also job plans, preventive maintenance, the possibility to create preventive maintenance schedules, which you can automatically create work orders for you in a certain amount of time or based on some meter readings. And also, as told before about inventory, also supply chain. So not only inventory, but also purchasing, inventories itself, automatic reordering, and stuff like that. Of course, also planning and scheduling and all health and safety, where you have the possibility to work with lockout, tagout procedures and create safety plans for certain asset types to make sure that the technicians are working in a safe environment. And on the right side, you can see also the possible integrations with IBM Maximo. For example, with an ERP system like SAP or Microsoft Dynamics. And because IBM Maximo is such an open system and has its own integration framework, it's very easy to set up nice integrations with systems like this. So, and then I want to dive in a little more deeper per process. So at first, asset management, and I want to tell a little bit about the functionalities which are in there. Of course, very important as a base, your total location and asset structure, your total hierarchy, with all the work that's attached to that, and also a cost history. And when you have this hierarchy set up, then at the end it's really easy to roll up those costs, for example, across this total hierarchy, with all its subsystems and locations. And also, as talked about before, asset safety and hazard elimination, which is part of the safety module, and lockout tagout procedures. And on the right side, we can also see some applications which are also in the asset management module, in the asset module. So condition monitoring, failure codes, which I already talked about, and also, of course, the meters and the meter groups, which are in there. And now I also want to show a little bit, out about the look and feel of the asset management module. And with that, I want to start, of course, with the assets application. So you get a little bit of a feeling how Maximo looks like, how it works. And this is actually what we call the back end, so the back office, because later on we will also dive into the work centers. We can also see that one on the front side of IBM Maximo. But of course, you need to have this asset dictionary, basically your asset library, where you have all your assets with all the important information stored. So here we can see the list view of the assets application, where you have the possibility to filter and search for certain assets. In this case, I typed in 11.2, where I find, by clicking enter, I find all the assets which have 11.2 in their asset ID or in their asset number. And also, of course, I could have filtered or searched by location, or by, for example, the status of that particular asset. And this is not the only way of searching. I can also use advanced search, where I have a lot of more search fields to search on. Or I can have my default queries, or create my own queries where I want to search with in a very quick and easy way. And when we open such an asset in the assets application, you will get the detail view of this asset. So you see all the detailed information on top, the general information about the assets, and then underneath there the details. So for example, with the location information, an attached meter group, for example, the serial number, the failure class which is attached to it, even a picture also of the asset. And you can see also, going more to the right, you have some different tabs where you can see more detailed information about, for example, the spare parts and the hierarchy of the asset with his substructure, and also information about safety, the meters, the specifications, and of course also the work tab, where you can see all the tickets and work orders which are created on this asset. And then if we go a little bit more to the right, we will see how that looks. So we can see here now the spare parts tab is opened, and you can see the sub-assemblies. So this HVAC system also has 3 circulation fans. And for this particular circulation fan, one of the spare parts is this tubing, for example, and you can see also that it has actually 25 of those things in it. You can also see how many of new ones are issued to this particular sub-assembly, to this particular asset. Because if that number becomes too high, then maybe you should replace some certain part from that asset. And also we take a look in the asset and location hierarchy, which is very important because this allows you also to quickly search through your total hierarchy of assets and locations. We can see here on top we have 2 tabs. Right now I'm on the asset tab, and I can just click and open the total tree actually with assets. So you can see here the HVAC system, the circulation fan, we had 3 on this level, and then that circulation fan itself also has 2 motor starters. And directly from here you can also view some work details about a particular asset you selected. And on the next slide, of course, we also have the locations. So this is basically always where you start from in the tree. So you have your site, then on that side there is a boiler room, you have the HVAC system in the main office, and then you have the 3 circulation fans also as a functional location basically. And on that locations, of course, there are the fans itself as an asset. So that was some short look into the look and feel of, for example, the asset management process. And now I want to go further with the work management process and also the difficult functionalities which we have in there. For example, as I also talked a little bit about before, job plans for recurring tasks captures best practices and procedures for use across the whole organization, and also manage the labor with all their skills and certifications. And of course also mobile enablement, which we will see after this slide with, for example, the work centers. And on the right side we can see all those applications which are there, which support you as a user by, for example, using job plans, preventive maintenance, qualification, safety, of course also service requests, all stuff like that. Now, and if we now take a look at the look and feel of this work management process, we will see actually also how it looks. And we start with the self-service, which is shown in this case as the work centers. And here I actually classify and create the service request, and in this case I classify it with pumps. I choose for a certain subcategory, so I choose for centrifugal pumps. I can also choose some other ones, but in this case I took this one. And then I have also the possibility to describe the issues, which are which I can put in the system myself. And then I click on next. I get the possibility to add a photo or a video of the issue. And when I click on yes, of course, on a desktop, I can get my Explorer and search for a particular photo I want. Or when I'm on a mobile device, because the work centers are responsive, I can just create a picture on that really moment. And when we go further, you can also see that it will ask me where the issue is located. So you can search by your tree, you can search by using a magnifier glass and just filter on a particular name, or you can scan the barcode of that particular location. And by clicking set location, I will go to the next screen. where I actually already am submitting my request, and I have an overview of everything that I filled in. And when I've submitted the request, I can also, of course, as a requester, always look into it and see the progress that already has been made with this particular request. And that will look like this. And then next to self-service, of course, also part of work management would be the work preparation. So this service request is requested, is submitted, and me as a supervisor or the work preparation role is going to get this request and create a work order of it, for example. So here we can see by review service requests this very created or submitted service request. And when I open it, I can see, of course, the details of the request and proceed with some certain actions on this request. We can already see, for example, that here there is already some follow-up work created at this moment. So there is a work order with number 1525. And here I have this particular work order, which I can see on my work supervision work center, which has 4 columns, as we can see right here. On the left one, approve work, and to the right one, assigning, monitor, and also closing the work. And for now, I just want to open this particular work order, which just has been created. And that again will give me a detailed view of that particular work order with all those nice tiles and all those other detailed information. And we can see, of course, also not only the detail of the work order itself, but also inspections plans, assignments, attachments, and already a lot of other detailed information. And also, of course, here, which I've pronounced earlier, the job plans. And I have the possibility, of course, to apply a job plan to this work order. And when the job plan is applied to the work order, I directly get a set of tasks, labor, and also items and materials maybe, which I have to have for this particular work order. In this case, it's about the pump leaking, and I have a particular job plan for a leaking pump, where a couple of things need to be checked, need to be inspected, and also already the technicians who are fitted to do that job are already selected, and also some materials, for example, a seal that I need to fix actually the leak. Here we can see that. For example, here we have the seal, and on the right side we also have some grease. And in work preparation, I can also change stuff in here by, for example, selecting a different storeroom. But of course, work preparation also has a back office when we are talking about, for example, preventive maintenance. So as you can see here, in that very same look and feel as we showed earlier with the assets application, you have the preventive maintenance application, where you actually have the possibility to create preventive maintenance schedules. In this case, it's about yearly maintenance for a rotary PD pump, with all the information that needs to be attached with this schedule. For example, a route with a lot of those similar pumps, which this preventive maintenance needs to be done for. And again, also with a job plan attached, where all the necessary information like the tasks, the materials, and also the assigned labor is already in there. So once this preventive maintenance schedule reaches its time, as we can see actually here, so every 12 months this preventive maintenance schedule will automatically create work orders for me with the information of this route which is attached, and also this job plan which is attached. And also I can work with some seasonal dates, so I only want to do this, for example, on a Monday till Friday and not on Sundays and Saturdays. Or I have a particular start date, so I don't want to do this in summer months or in winter months. Then I can select that here actually. And of course, also part of the work management would be the maintenance technician. And also the maintenance technician has his own work center, which looks like this. So he gets a start screen with a selection of work orders based on a certain filter. In this case, I selected all, but I could also select it tomorrow. So what do I have to do for tomorrow? And with the colors, I can see directly in which status a certain work order is. And of course, also by opening one, I again get this detailed view with the detailed information about the work order and also the attached meters, inspections that I need to do, which tasks I need to perform, which materials I need. For example, here we can see that I've already completed 2 tasks and I'm about to complete the 3rd task. And this is how easily it's been done actually also on a mobile device by that maintenance technician. And also, of course, as told, the items and materials that I need to get for this particular work. And always the possibility also to give some comments in a short WhatsApp kind of way. And also, of course, the attachments. So some certain documents or the picture that has been attached already from the beginning by creating the service request. And also the maintenance technician always have the possibility to add some more attachments. And when the technician is done with his work, then of course it's important to report its work in case of time, material, and also failure. So he can click on report work and actually reports his work time, his items and materials that he has used, and also the failures that he has found and has solved by going by the problem cause remedy tree. And by selecting the first one, in this case the problem, based on the failure class pump failures, he gets the problem, which was leaking. He will automatically be guided through the 3 steps of the problem cause remedy tree. And when you have completed that, then you have a very nice failure report, which gives you very valuable information about this particular asset for the future. And also in work management, the possibility to work with inspections. At first, to create inspection forms. And also this is done in a work center by easily giving you the possibility to create an inspection form, to add some response fields, and it could be a date entry or some meter readings you have to fill in, or you have to make a photo or attach some other document. It could also be, of course, selectable responses. So as the one you can see right here, actually, the single choice one where you can say okay or not okay. And when it's not okay, that directly a follow-up work order will need to be created for this particular point. And of course, also with the possibility to require to make some of the steps required that they actually have to fill it in before they can complete the inspection. And when you have completed such a inspection form, you can group them, and that actually looks like this, and you save it, and you are really able to connect it to some of the assets where it's occurring to, and to make the technician able to work with this inspection form easily by doing the inspection on his mobile device. And then to have a short look into how that looks like is also with a work center, in this case for a desktop PC, but as told, also could be very good possible on a mobile device. So the inspection technician selects the inspection form for a particular asset. It gets a short overview of some instructions basically, and then can start with the inspection itself. And when he has started, he gets a nice overview of the inspection form with on the left side the groups which are in there also. You can select that there, and also very easy of course to say okay, this one is not okay. Then you directly also get a message, a follow-up work order will be created to fix any brake problems, and the inspection form in the end will actually do that automatically for you. And also, of course, a process which is important is the supply chain process, where we talked about earlier about the contracts module and also the purchasing module, to create purchase orders, to keep your storeroom filled with all the necessary parts you need to have and all the materials. And also, of course, the inventory module, where you keep track of all those items and materials you have in your storeroom, and you need to do counts some in a certain time period, where Maximo is supporting you to do that with its functionalities. And also, of course, when new materials will arrive, you have the possibility to receive those materials and to make it possible to really receive them into the storeroom itself. And of course, analytics. Maximo has a broad range of analytic functionalities, such as query-based reporting, where the user actually can create its own reports, bird reporting, which are more custom reports, where you are able to create your own custom reports with the logo, of course, of the company, but also important Excel integration and also email integration, which is default and out of the box in IBM Maximo. To get every list basically you have in Maximo to Excel and work on in Excel further with that one. And also, when it comes to analytics, there is also a work center, the Business Analyst Work Center, which gives you a graphical representation of, in this case, some work management data. So we can see here all the overdue work for certain priorities or for all the priorities, and also a backlog work or waiting on material work. And on top here we can also see some KPIs which are default there. To see something, for example, about emergency maintenance work with no downtime. And then we already are at the point of a short summary of what we saw today. And at first I want to show this slide where Maximo EAM is benefiting actually all departments. And I'm not going by all of them, of course, again, but also read it afterwards when you have the slides. You have to go by every process actually that Maximo is delivering and is having functionalities where you can work with around asset management, health, safety, environment, planning, mobility, work management, supply chain. So this is just a short summary of what there is in IBM Maximo on that point. And then also an interesting slide, I think the top 10 benefits of IBM Maximo. To start from one where you can reduce unplanned downtime, to further on reduce also inventory costs, extend the life of your assets, and all points that we see, of course, that are benefits of IBM Maximo. Also increasing asset reliability. And also a very important one, of course, is minimizing asset failures, because those assets, they need to work and in a good condition, of course. And that's all where it's in IBM Maximo about, to keep those assets working in a very good way. Well, that actually was it for today. A short and brief introduction to Maximo as a maintenance management system. Certainly keep an eye out on our social media for any updates on our next series of Maximo webinars, which surely will come. And then you can expect topics like, for example, inspections and also mobile. And of course, a lot of more. So take a look at our website. On the last slide, you can find also the social media links and also the website link. So keep track of that and keep an eye out for our updates on that, so that you don't miss any interesting topics you might want to see. Thank you for today, and we really like to see you back in one of our next sessions. Thank you.